I'm going to open it up to questions real quick, but we're currently in what we call a mock week. Does that make this a mock press conference? Does this count? So it's not a mock press conference. Okay, so we'll move forward with the real one. But in all seriousness, we finished last week with our final scrimmage of camp on Saturday. Got probably, I don't know, about 90 plays in, which is about 20, 30 less than what y'all saw the previous Saturday. So didn't do as much with the ones. They've got a lot of good work in and feel like they're ready to go. Did a lot with the twos, did a lot with the threes. And then the next day on Sunday started what we will do for an entire week, which is a mock week, put them through exactly what they're going to do through a game week. It's no different than what we've done the previous 3 or 4 years. So, Sunday they came in, we watched the scrimmage, we lifted weights, let them go. Monday was their off day. That's their school day. Today we will start preparing for Missouri. So, when the kids come in here today, they're not going to know anything about Missouri. We haven't really started prepping them at all. So, I know a little bit about Missouri, not nearly as much as I know a week from now. The assistant coaches will have a good knowledge of Missouri. If you got any of those questions, that's fine, but the players won't know anything about it. So just so you guys got that heads up. But we'll start preparing. We'll break up scout teams. We will introduce our opponent and teach our kids how to practice on Tuesday, how to practice on Wednesday, what the routine's going to be like Thursday, travel Friday, come in on Saturday and have a game day routine, go through all the pregame stuff, even prior to that, the food that's going to be Friday night, where they're going to be staying, what our meeting schedules are like, when you wake up, all that good stuff. Got quite a bit of guys that haven't traveled with us yet, so I feel like it's important for those guys to go through that routine before we ask them to do it for real next week. Then we'll play do the mock game. It's not a scrimmage. I used to try to tackle a little bit in that thing, and it doesn't work out very good. So sideline situation, how you sub, when you sub, special teams things. There's just a lot of moving parts on this mock game I think is very important for our guys to go through. And then obviously once that's over, sing country roads and get used to doing that, and then we'll start the real deal here the next week. So that's where we're currently at. I know you guys probably got some questions. It's been a while, so I'll turn it over to y'all.
Dana, I guess 11 days away from your opener, you judge, okay, we've been here in other years, we're better, we're worse. Where are you?
Oh, I feel good about where we're at. I mean, we got good depth. Know pretty much who our guys are going to be that are going to play. You do get to a point in camp where you know you're not going to get any better until you play. So we hit that last week at some point, and we know who the guys are that are going to play. I don't think you totally understand what that's going to look like or how they're going to perform until you actually go out there and do it. Even with some of the older guys, it's a new year. You're a year older. How much better have some of these guys got? I just don't think you're going to be able to figure that out until you get out there and play. So feel good about who we got and what our depth is and what our schemes are. I think our guys will be fired up about our challenge against a good quality Missouri team and be able to go out there and see what happens.
In the last scrimmage, we saw the execution a little disappointing offensively. Is that progress how you'd like it to in terms of getting them more enthused with it and kind of getting the execution part of it down as the week is?
Yeah, we got a little better since then. We had an off day, and we know kind of what we got on offense. Had some complacency issues I addressed. With that said, I thought our defense has been playing well. So I think they're pretty motivated, and got some good players and got some motivated players. So I'd much rather it be like that than offense getting after the defense. So you know, we did a little bit better the next week, but I'm not concerned with where we're at.
Dana, with 4 new assistants, does game day communication, you have to pay special attention to that to make sure all those guys are on the same page?
Well, yeah, we kind of went over that last Saturday. We'll do it again this upcoming Saturday. It's part of the mock game type deal. But Coach Wickline will be upstairs in the box, you know, talking to Coach Crook. Coach Carrier will be on the sidelines like Lonnie was, doing all the motivational stuff. Then defensively, you know, Mark Scott will be up in the box and relaying down to the field, you know, through Coach Capone, which will be on the sidelines, and Coach Blue as well.
What would it take to get Gibby in the box?
What would it take to get Gibby in the box?
Get him off the field.
Yeah, right.
Have you started to make some decisions on some of those position battles, right tackle, cornerback?
You know, yeah. I mean, they're still battling. I mean, we're not. You know, we're not. I mean, hopefully we'll keep them battling all year long. You know, but you know, Marcel's will get the nod and we'll start. But Colton's going to play. Colton will probably end up playing, you know, both right tackle and left tackle. You know, when do we put Colton in the game? That depends on how Marcel plays. You know, so there's situations that affect that. You know, and the battle at corners is ongoing. You know, we got 4 seniors and Antonio and Nana and Maurice and Rasul that have all done good things, and they'll keep plugging away. You got nickel packages where guys are going in the game. You got, you know, guys that need to rest. Maybe they need to take a series off here and there. Having all those guys there, you know, Mike Daniels will play, and got Jordan Adams. You got Elijah Battle. We got a lot of bodies there that they just need to keep practicing and keep playing. You know, what ends up happening in the first game with who starts or what the reps are, I mean, I would be shocked if it doesn't change between game 1 and game 2.
In free safety, I mean, is it going to be Tyler? What are you going to do?
Yeah, Jeremy looks good there. I mean, he's played it. You know, he's got experience. I've been very proud of Jeremy. Where I thought Jared Harper stepped in for Carl last year and did a solid job, I see Jeremy stepping in, you know, for Drayvon and doing a solid job, not only from a performance point of view, but from a leadership point of view as well. So both those guys are I'm proud of how they've stepped in. They've done it, and you got, you know, Kaiser White's done a good job at Spur. It's allowed us to have those other bodies there. You know, Toyas Avery is going to continue to get better and better. You know, and Kahari Sharif has been around here for a good while and kind of knows what to do as well.
How's the team looking health-wise at this point in the preseason?
Good, real good. You know, I mean, you know, you had the long-term things, you know, that was unfortunate, but other than that, you know, it's been good. I mean, we're as healthy as we've been since the day we started.
So none of those Westco, Wellman, they're not going to miss?
They're all good to go. They're all cleared, and, you know, Eli had a good week. Wesco actually got cleared now, so I'll be able to work with him for dang near the first time all camp. You know, but all those guys that had nicks and bruises, Gross, and I don't even know who they're. Matteo was out for a while. You know, he's good. So all those guys are cleared, and we'll be out there practicing today. Other than the 3 long-term guys, Drayvon and Ferns and Jake Long.
Unfortunately, you had the discipline thing with Adam Pankey. What's his status going to be?
Yeah, he's currently suspended from the team. I mean, we hold these guys to high expectations, and when you don't meet that, then there's going to be consequences. So he's currently suspended from the team. It's disappointing, but you know, we'll continue a suspension through Missouri, and then we'll readdress it at that point.
Just Tony step in there?
Absolutely. Tony's a fifth-year senior that was competing for a starting guard job anyway. You know, Tony went down. Tony was probably playing better than any of the guards for the first 5-6 days. You know, and then he went down, but we'll pick up and, you know, we'll slot him at the left guard spot. He'll start there, and Kyle Bosch will start at the right guard spot, so we feel good about where we're at. Depth took a hit. Grant Lingelfelter has been stepping in for the last, you know, week while both those guys were out and did a good job. He started a game a couple years ago, so still got a good rotation in there with those 4 guys, and I think we'll be fine on the inside.
In terms of rotation, do you have an idea in your head what you want to do with like your backfield, your receivers? I mean, you have your starter, but how many snaps does it Justin Crawford get, or things like that? Do you have an idea what you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, they've all shown signs of doing some good things. We'll play a couple of those guys at a time too, you know. So I think last year we didn't have Russ and Wendell in there together very much because there really wasn't a third, you know. So now that we have a third, we'll probably get into some more 2-back stuff. They've all shown signs of a guy that we can count on. So, you know, who looks good, who's got the hot hand, who's tired, who's fresh. I mean, all that stuff is taken into consideration. Same thing at receiver. You know, I mean, we got, you know, how much 3 receiver set do we use? How much 4 receiver set do we use? It depends on how the game planning aspect of things go. But how much does Shelton play as opposed to Gary depends on, you know, what the previous snaps look like and how fresh they are. Both those guys play a lot of special teams as well, you know, so, you know, that's going to be fluid. And as long as they're fresh and they're out there doing the right thing, then we'll divvy up the reps based on production and how those reps look.
Either of the backup quarterbacks started to separate themselves, or still kind of the same thing you're doing with a couple weeks ago?
It's, you know, it's the same. I mean, we've been repping Cody Saunders a bunch here lately. Chugg's his arm was a little wore out, so we sat him down for a couple of days. He'll be just fine. Neither him nor Crest nor Saunders have done anything to the point to where it's just like right up there, solid number 2. Not disappointed in that at all. You know, because there's an aspect of hitting the wall and not doing a good job that sometimes gives other guys the backup nod. I haven't seen that either, which is a positive thing. So we know what William brings to the table. We know what Chugs brings to the table. We're figuring out what Cody brings to the table. Been happy with his production and his development for a young guy. And we'll keep doing it. We'll keep evaluating here over the next 11 days.
Coach, you were talking about a couple seconds ago about the game plan with Shelton. I'm just kind of wondering when you looked at
Game plan with what?
with Shelton Gibson.
Yeah.
And just when you look at what he was able to do with the number of touches he had last year, if you start to kind of game plan a little bit more for him, does that take away that explosiveness, that big play thing that he was able to?
I don't think so. I mean, he tracks the ball over his shoulder better than he tracks the ball coming back to it. It's just what he does. So in order for him to be an all-around player, he's got to be able to do all that stuff. But by no means are we going to take what he does well and try to get him to do something else. You know, we have big play potential with him, with Javon, with Karan, that they can stretch the field. Would be foolish not to continue to do that. You know, if they're going to pile people into the box, then we need to be able to stretch it. If we're stretching it, then they got to back people off, and we should be able to run the ball. So, you know, it'd be foolish to do that. We like the 24 yards per catch that he got, or whatever it was. I would be okay for twice as many catches and 18 yards a catch. That'd be fine.
Instead of one primary player at punt returner, we're still shuffling guys.
Gary Jennings will be that guy. He makes too good of decisions. He got a lot better throughout the course of last year. He's a dependable guy that makes great decisions, that has very, very, very few mistakes and very, very, very few muffs. He's tracking it well. I'd like to be able to get a few more yards after the catch to improve field position from what we've done the last couple of years, but we're at a point now where we're just trying to get a guy to catch the damn thing. To now we got a guy that can catch it, so now let's try to figure out what we do with it.
Kickoff return.
Gary does a good job back there as well. Javon's good back there. Shelton's good back there. Kennedy, McCoy has looked okay back there. Justin Crawford looked okay back there. Crown White's looked okay back there. We can only put 2 people back there. So, you know, I know who can for sure. We'll keep looking at the guys that need to develop from a depth perspective.
Teams develop personalities as the season goes on. What do you foresee for this team as far as is it going to be a cocky team, a exciting team? Yeah, what will their personality be?
I think it's too early to tell. I don't think you truly know that. I mean, you might have a little bit of a hunch, but you know, I view this team kind of, and we've talked a lot in here me with the team about what our identity is, and you know, they're pretty determined. You know, they're pretty blue collar, hardworking. You know, bunch that's determined to get out there and outwork people, that sort of thing. So I hope I hope that's who they are. That's who they think they are. That's who I think they are right now. I hope that continues throughout the course of a season. It's a long season, and guys and teams change, you know, so you know, I think we'd all like to see a little bit of consistency with who we are and get out there and have that same mentality over the course of the next 4 months.
What's the biggest difference you've seen in Skylar from last year going into the season to this year? Is there one part of his game, either physical, mental, or something that kind of jumps out at you and say he's in a different place right now than he was going into last year?
Yeah, confidence and consistency. You know, he's more confident. Part of that is he's more trustworthy of the people around him. You know, there's more familiarity. You know, the relationship him and Tyler has is really good on the field. Those guys know what each other is thinking at all times. The rapport he's got with the receivers and timing aspect of what he's got with the receivers is night and day. Confidence he's got in the backs, you know, and then just from a consistency point of view, from a X's and O's standpoint, I mean, you know, going into his senior year after being here for 2 years, going into his senior year, there's a consistency that I'm seeing that needs to develop as well. So he's in a better place. You know, I like where we're at offensively. You know, we got to go out there and be more consistent, and I think he'll be a big part of that.
And you talked about using multiple backs in one back, 3 receivers, 4 receivers. You do different stuff with quarterback running, the running game. But you're actually doing all that stuff too, which means you're probably comfortable with it. You're not going to do everything every game, I get, but what does it say about where you're at with your guys and your experience that you kind of do feel comfortable devoting practice time to it? And even if you're keeping it in your bag and using them for a game plan, that's a lot of things you can actually offer a game plan.
Is there a question in there? Or?
About where you're at. It just seems like
No, I know. I'm just picking. I can't joke around at times. Or it's. I mean, yeah, we can do that. You know, I'd like to not have to do that with the quarterback run game and stuff. I mean, there's. It just depends on whether you need it or not. You know, there was a lot of times last year where we needed it because our passing game wasn't sufficient enough. So, you know, being multiple is what you need to do. You know, whether we're going to – I'd like to go into every single game saying we're going to run the ball 50% of the time, pass it 50% of the time. That's as balanced as you can be. You know, I'd like to be able to get into a whole bunch of different sets and do the same stuff over and over again and be really good at it. Defenses start to dictate that stuff. I mean, they can change their defenses to dictate what you feel like you need to do. And the key to being good offensively is if you got to up it and throw the ball 85% of the time like we did against Arizona State, then you need to be effective and be able to do it. If you need to be able to run the ball 85% of the time based on coverages and having a lid on it, then you need to be able to do it. So I think we're there. I think we're there. We'll see what happens.
You started with Arizona State because their defense was geared in such a way you kind of knew you had to run it. That wasn't necessarily what you did. You did very well last year, but with all that extra time.
Throw it.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, we made a lot of strides in that month leading up to that bowl game from a passing point of view. Skyler with the guys and improving the protection a little bit as well. So, that gave us some confidence, and I think we'll be able to do that if we need to do it. But I don't want to lose sight of the fact that we got 3 good running backs and, need to be able to do that as well.